Welcome to Life Talk Oregon, and my guest today is Jackie Guiher. And Jackie is a busy mom of 9 who took time out to come talk to us today. And you're living in Washington right now, is that right?
Battleground.
Yeah, Battleground. Well, I wanted to visit with you today because your beautiful daughter, Claire, is 2.
Yes.
And has the gift of Down syndrome. And this is not often looked upon as a gift when parents have this information given to them either at an ultrasound or after birth. And we want to change that. She is an absolute doll, and we're going to get to meet her in a few minutes. But I wanted you to share, back at the beginning, what you were talking to me about when she was born. You didn't know, but she was premature. And talk about the time when the doctor called you into the office to give you the news of what this was, what was happening.
Right. Well, Claire was 7 weeks early, so she was very small, 4 pounds, 5 ounces. And so the doctors didn't even know that she had Down syndrome. I didn't know. And let's see, the day I was being discharged, I got a call from the doctor down in the NICU where Claire was, and he wanted to talk to me about the diagnosis, well, she wasn't diagnosed. They suspected that she had Down syndrome. And so I had no idea that they suspected. So I came down, and I was just dealing with the fact that I was going home without my baby because she was premature. So I was sad about that. So the doctor sat down with my husband and I and told us that they suspected Claire had Down syndrome. And then I think he was trying to be helpful, but he listed everything that could possibly go wrong with Claire in her life, you know.
Bad news. All
bad news, yes. And unless we just heard the bad news. So we were just in shock, reeling and crying. And as he's telling us, you know, from the heart conditions to possible diagnosis of cancer, you know, everything. And so as he's telling us all this, they were rolling in the ultrasound to test her heart. And so, you know, it took them about a week to come back with the positive diagnosis. But he sent us home crying and wondering, what's our life going to be like?
Because you hadn't ever experienced a close family member that was going through this, or a family member. Right.
We had a friend with a son with Down syndrome, but he was my age, actually. So
that's a little different.
Fresh and new. You know, I never really paid attention to people with Down syndrome or disabilities in general. I never really was aware of that.
So that's a shock.
So it was a shock to us. You know, you don't expect it. And so...
And you said they gave you a book, but it was not the most helpful book in the world.
Right. They told us, oh, this is the greatest book. And chapter 2, it was all about what could possibly go wrong with your Down syndrome child. So I was reading it at home without my child in my arms because she was in NICU at the hospital. And I threw out the book because I didn't need to know everything that could possibly go wrong with my child. If something should come up, I would deal with that.
Yeah,
so
of course. Talk about that night you said you prayed for a miracle.
Yeah.
That was a different kind.
It took a week to get the diagnosis back. So the full week I'm at home without my baby at night, and I would go back and forth from Battleground, Washington to Beaverton to visit my child for the day. And I would cry all night long and pray. I don't know how many rosaries I prayed for a miracle that God would please let this cup pass. Please take this away from me. And, you know, I can't handle it. I always bragged, or not bragged, but I would tell people, I'm not medically minded. I can't deal with anything. God thinks I'm a wimp. You know, I always said, God knows I'm a wimp, so he wouldn't send me anything to deal with, and God had other plans.
That's a good point, because all of a sudden you were looking at all these medical jargon and talk.
Right. So I kept praying, oh, please, please, take this away from me. And by the end of the week, it just took a week for my eyes to be opened, and from coming to church, and people were very positive. They kept telling me, you're blessed. This is great. They were so positive, and I was kind of in shock. huh? You know, I didn't get it. But by the time the diagnosis came back, I got it. And I was like, yes, this is, the miracle would not have been for God to take away that diagnosis of Down syndrome. The miracle is that she's a healthy girl. You know, she's doing just fine. Her heart is perfect. You know, which we were very blessed. You know, didn't have to deal with that. But, you know, she's great. And it is a blessing. I'm learning that more and more every day. I get it now, that she is a blessing. It's nothing to be sad about. And I even felt like, you know, I feel like going up to every pregnant lady out there and say, rejoice, you're going to be okay. No matter what the doctors tell you, you know, you're good, you're fine. It'll be fine no matter what. So,
well, you know, I think you give a good idea about reaching out to others, because I didn't ask you this before, but what was helpful about what other people could say or do for you, and what was not helpful, so that we know when loved ones are around us in a situation that may be upsetting. In your does anything stand out?
Well, I think just I remember people saying what a blessing and all the positive, and also the nurses in the NICU. I would say very sadly, well, she was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and they'd look at me like, yeah, so what? You know, it's really no big deal, you know, and okay, fine, whatever, get over it. You'll deal with it. So
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, it was really nice. They were very sweet, very nice, and I thought that was helpful because it put a little seed in my mind like, wow, I guess I don't really have to be such a downer about this, you know. It's not so bad, you know. And then I was told about early intervention, which is from birth to age 3. There's what is it? Not counseling, but therapy. Therapy available
People
to them.
People don't know about this.
Yeah, so I go to Innovative Services up in Vancouver, where we have a physical therapist for her. At one time, she had a speech therapist, and she'll probably hook up with a speech therapist again. There's a teacher that comes to our house every other week, and she works with communication skills with Claire, and they start very early, as soon as you can. I think we were 6 months old. But we were still a little late. You know, they start even earlier than that, to give these children a jump start on life and give them every opportunity that they can to grow. See, with all my other children, you just kind of let them develop naturally. It just happens, you know. But with Claire, you just have to pay a little bit more attention. It's no big deal, you know.
And these services are free, right? I mean, they're not. You're not having to. You don't have to be rich to people are being told in hospitals, and I didn't know this, that well, you're going to go broke with this child, and that's not how it is at all. No. It's I don't know how these rumors get started, but they are, and so I'm glad that you can say this, all of this. So this organization that you connected with, Down Syndrome Network Oregon. They have amazing resources, and you and Claire and your whole family is getting ready to do a big event that they do in September called the Buddy Walk. And I wanted to have you talk about what's coming up and how that all works.
Okay, well, this will be our first year participating in the Buddy Walk, but it's on Sunday, September 23rd at Millennium Park in Lake Oswego.
Okay.
And, well, this is their yearly fundraiser for their organization, and I haven't really tapped into their resources as much as I possibly can, but they have moms get-togethers where they just offer positive support. They have the last one, they had a speech pathologist come in and talk with the moms about speech, and we went to a Christmas party last year at a gymnastics place, and it is just so positive. The starters of the organization, they walked up and just greeted us with open arms, and just great.
How wonderful that we have that here in Portland. And we're going to run the information of their website on the screen so people can go there. And can anybody come and do this walk and participate?
Yeah. I sent out notice to all our friends that if you wanted to register, it's $15 for an individual, and you get a free t-shirt and a box lunch, and $30 for a couple.
That's so
and $45 for a family.
And they can come and just participate and just join in and learn about all the resources in Oregon and see a bunch of beautiful kids, I imagine.
And they're going to have Karen Gaffney is a national spokeswoman.
Very famous
swimmer. She swam the English Channel.
I can't believe this. Yeah. Yes. So. And her picture's on the website too, and it's exciting. It really is.
Another thing is my husband never believed that Claire had Down syndrome, or didn't see it in her eyes. I just said, look at her eyes. You can kind of tell, whatever. But whenever I would say Down syndrome, like, okay, she has Down syndrome, he would say, well, you're putting a label on her. And I said, it's a positive label. I don't want to bring Claire down to a negative label. I'm bringing the label up. You know, I want the Down syndrome label, if you want to call it a label, to be a positive label. It's like, yeah, let's praise it. You know, it's great. It's God's gift to this human race for a child to have Down syndrome. You know, I tell my children, this is God's beauty. You know, I'd rather have a person with Down syndrome living in my household than a Hollywood movie star. She might not be on the cover of Glamour magazine, but she is God's beauty. You know, that is the perfect beauty that God looks for, you know, and innocence. So,
well, you're talking about, you know, your other family members. What has this meant to your other children? You know, many moms are told, oh, you shouldn't have a baby with Down syndrome because it wouldn't be fair to the other children. I know you have your oldest daughter here, and I'm going to ask her about this, but from the mom's point of view, what have you observed that this has meant to your other children?
Yeah, she's all happiness and all love. I mean, it's all been positive. There's nothing, you know, I might leave the house to go to therapy more often than I used to leave the house, but, you know, I have a 15-year-old son that he came home from Boy Scout camping for the weekend. First thing he did, ran in the door, dropped his backpack, picked up Claire, and said, Claire, I love you. You're so beautiful. You know, it's so positive. And I don't know, now when I look around and I see someone with Down syndrome or any disability, I smile. You know, I never paid attention before. But now I smile and I think, this is great. You know, this is
I agree. And the world is so desperately needing this message, and that's why I really appreciate you spending time to help somebody else hear this message. And you know, we don't know at any given time who may be listening, who may be watching, but if someone's watching right now and they are that mom that just heard these words, your child has Down syndrome, maybe at a 20-week ultrasound, maybe after, and they're scared. What do you want to say to that mom right now?
Well, whatever God deals you, it's in His plan, and it's going to be okay. It will be okay.
That's the best message of all.
Like, you know, again, I'm not medically minded, but I even think if God deals me something in the future, you handle it. You can get there. You know, I'm always praying to God, hold my hand. You know, just get me through, hold my hand. And He does. He does.
You're right.
Know, so.
and the joy does come after the fear.
Right, yeah. It took me a week to be able to get over that.
I think that's pretty fast.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a test early on and all that time of stress for your pregnancy to think about that. You know, really, if you're given enough time, you can deal with it.
Well, I really thank you for your perspective, and I'm going to go out in the hallway and get your daughter, and we're going to be right back.
Sugar.
Okay, well, we are here with our adorable guest, Claire. Claire Guiher. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming the long road to our show today. Yes, I love your pretty outfit. You know, I always wanted a flower like that. So thank you for bringing that today. This is, Claire gets to walk in the buddy walk with you, is that right? The kids come and does she meet lots of friends through the group, the network, or do you have regular times kids can get together?
Probably. I haven't tapped into their resources as much, but we've only been to their Christmas party and the Oaks Park get together.
Oh, that was
last summer. That was a load of fun. So I know she has a very good friend that was born on her due date, 7 weeks after her.
Oh.
That little Laura. And so she has a really good friend that has the same diagnosis. We were very surprised that she would have a close friend.
Claire's off and running.
Yes. Yeah, typical 2-year-old, really. You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of my 2-year-olds would have sat for an interview. It's too big. Well, it's lots of books in here, so
yeah, she loves books.
Yeah, we're very happy to have those. And as far as interaction with the other kids, is it just busy as usual, like a busy household would be?
Right.
There's nothing.
Another thing is, I don't really notice anything different between Claire and another child her age until I'm around them, and then I was like, okay, well, just a tad bit slower. You know, she might not be running like the others. Well, she's walking.
She's so mobile. I mean,
right. I mean, she gets into trouble just like any other 2-year-old.
You know, that's the way it goes, and that's what they're supposed to do. The curiosity and just, she has such a joy about her. You can tell she just is smiling all the time.
Right, yeah. And she brings a smile to her face all the time.
Definitely. Well, we want to encourage people to go to the Buddy Walk and get involved and just give time and talent to these wonderful kiddos. They are such a blessing to this world. And you just graduated from high school.
Yep.
And you actually have an interest in video work and TV, so we might not let you go home because we need lots of help here at Life Tuck Oregon. But you're the oldest of 9, and the youngest, of course, is little Claire. And I was asking you earlier if you remembered when she was born, and of course, what your parents were going through when they were having meetings with doctors and whatnot. How did that feel from your perspective? What do you remember about that time?
All I remember mostly is it being very stressful. I'm not sure I exactly understood what was going on. It was just very stressful.
Yeah.
And then I just remember going there, I think it was the first or second visit to Claire. Just go in there and went out of the NICU, and Dad wanted to just go into the chapel and pray. It's like, okay, sure.
Interesting. Yeah, and God does answer prayers, doesn't He? In such a wiser way than we could ever imagine. Many times, parents are told, as you know, as pro-lifers, we want to save lives, and we certainly are against abortion for all reasons, but 90% of children of the unborn are aborted when Down syndrome is detected. And many times parents are told it just wouldn't be fair to the siblings if this child is born. And I know you're bound to have a strong opinion about somebody saying that. What do you want to say to that idea?
You know, the sibling, we all really love little Claire. I mean, we're always fighting over, oh no, Claire wants me to hold her. No, Claire wants me to hold her.
Yeah?
She is always happy. Of course, she's always an imp, too. Taking me all the books off the shelves and everything, but life without Claire would be really dull.
What do you think it means to have Claire in your life when others consider it a disability to have Down syndrome? What do you think is not a disability about Claire?
I almost never think of her having Down syndrome. She's just Claire. She's just her lovable little sister. There's nothing different about her, really.
It's hard to believe that people will believe lies, but sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't have someone like you to speak from the siblings' perspective, and that's why it's so important that siblings tell from their point of view. They're right in the household every day, that this is a blessing, because our world doesn't hear that very often.
Yeah.
And what are your hopes and dreams for your sister?
Really, just that she's happy all her life. I mean, that's all that we can help for. That
Right.
she has her dreams, and if she can go for them, and she's happy with that, that's all we can hope for.
Yeah, yeah. Have you had been able to open the eyes of friends by sharing Claire? Have you ever had any opportunities where you think maybe she's a little ambassador for life?
Oh, sort of.
Yeah.
Not too much, but
Yeah, hopefully
in the future.
Do you go out in public as a family where you've had people that you might think might be looking and wondering, or
They're
comments?
probably just looking at the huge size of our family, mostly.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah. Get all the typical questions.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Are they adopted? How many are twins? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. So as the oldest, you've been through all of that
Yes.
already. Too much, yeah. You're probably just grateful to get another sister.
Another little girl instead of little boys are fine, but
Yeah.
little sisters are fun to dress up and everything.
Right, right. Oh, that's great. Well, I thank you for sharing your opinions, because moms and dads out there need to know it's okay. You know, this child will bless the siblings, not be a burden. Is that kind of what you would
Yes.
say?
Yes, she is amazing. She's the happiest. She brings so much laughter and joy to our lives. It is amazing.
Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to share that viewpoint, and we hope that it saves lives, of course. And I imagine you're going to be at the Buddy Walk too,
Yes.
for Claire. Yeah,
Yeah.
coming in September. So the whole
Mhm.
family will be there. So everybody should come on down. And in Lake Oswego, we're going to put the information on the screen, and we hope everyone will come and they can join Claire's team,
Yeah,
right?
join Claire.
Yeah, it's on the
Claire.
internet, and Vicki, I thank you so much, and we look forward to you doing great things in the world of video.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you.